hope I have a visitor today. Maybe I should make scones. Oh, there's someone at the door. Hello.
Hello, neighbour.
Hi, neighbour.
Do you remember how I was saying I have that ping pong, like table tennis tournament coming up really soon?
Yes.
Is there any chance you still have that bucket of the table tennis balls that I might be able to borrow, please?
Of course. Here you go.
It's not entirely what I had in mind.
Welcome to JRev. Let me help you pick them up.
Why did you do that?
Help me. What up, JRev? Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Hey, do you know what I've been doing since we were last together?
Probably eating and sleeping.
Well, I did do that, but also I've been watching some TV shows and some movies kind of with a bit of a good versus evil theme to them.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of movies have you been watching and what kind of pairings have there been?
Well, my favourite of all time would have to be The Lion King.
Oh, I do like that.
With the whole Scar versus Mufasa dynamic, and then there's the Scar versus Simba dynamic.
Oh, it's so cool. Actually, you know what? One of my all-time favourites is Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Do you know who I think is a worse baddie than Darth Vader?
Who?
Cruella de Vil.
Oh, she is so cruel. It's even
101 Dalmatians. Yeah, she's just. Ugh.
She's so nasty.
Yeah.
Actually, I think a funny villain in a movie is Yzma and Kronk in Emperor's New Groove. They're pretty funny. Yeah. Hey, JRev, who are your favourite enemies in all your favourite TV shows or movies? Have a think.
What about Ninja Turtles?
Ninja Turtles. Oh, Krang. Krang is like he's a pink squishy brain and he lives in a robot suit and he's like,
We're gonna get out of here before he keeps doing that. Bye.
yeah.
Hey JRev, guess what I'm going to try today? I'm going to attempt the world record for having the most textures in your beard. Now, I haven't actually looked to see if there's a record holder, so I don't know what I need to beat, but I just know that I need to put as many textures in my beard as humanly possible. Now, word to the wise, if you don't have a beard, you cannot do this challenge. If you do have a beard, don't, because one, you'll be potentially going to break my record that I set, hopefully, and two, I'm a trained beard professional. I don't know if you know this, but I've had a beard since I was a baby. So just make sure that you, if you're going to attempt this, that you are taking all the safety precautions that you can. Okay, so I've got my textures, I've got my beard, so let's see how we go. Now I want you at home, JRev, to guess how many textures do you think I can keep in my beard? Let's see. Okay. Start with a bright pink one. Whoop. Oh yes. We're okay. One texture. Two textures. Three textures. Four. Uh-oh. Five. Yeah, that's going nowhere. 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's getting heavy. 10. 11. 12. 13. Pack the crayon. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. Oh, I dropped one. 19. 20. Okay, I lost count. Oh no, they're dropping. I'm just going for it. I'm just going for it. Crayon. Uh-oh. 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 Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna call it there. How many do you think that I've got? Okay. Oh. Okay, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That sounds about right. I feel like that's when they started letting go. So if you guessed 20, you guessed right, and you're now looking at the newest Guinness World Records holder. I've won. I've won. This is the end. I've peaked. What do I do now? I might go and have a nap. See you.
Hey Chris.
Yes.
I know it's not challenge time, but are you up for a bit of a challenge?
That's why they call me Chris Challenge Green.
We don't. We never have.
You always call me challenging.
That's true. Hey, you guys at home, you can play this too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set the scene for you.
Okay.
So it's the year 3054.
So 12.
No, well into the future.
Okay.
Life as we know it is kind of done, and any humans that are still alive had to leave Earth, gone to Mars,
Ooh,
living on Mars.
that's fancy.
And there's a bit of a bad guy who's turned up to try and take over the planet.
Yeah.
So I want you to try and think about what would he look like, what would he talk about, what would he be trying to do. Have you got any ideas? Like if you were writing this as a movie, you're drawing it as a comic, what are we expecting about this baddie?
Okay, so being a member of the public, I know what the public want to see in a movie.
Alright.
So he'd be wearing purple spandex, rollerblades, he'd have a giant space helmet to contain his giant space fro, and he would be just making sure that no one else on Mars could have access to frozen yogurt.
Frozen yogurt?
Yeah, it's like a really rare commodity on Mars. It's like the really cool, luxurious thing to have, and he's just like, I'm just going to keep it all for myself.
Right. How would he steal the frozen yogurt? Does he have any special weapons or?
Yeah, so he would be like, hey, look over there! And then he'd take the frozen yogurt, and then as he's making his getaway, he'd be like, no fro-yo for yo!
Right.
He'd eat it.
Hey, so obviously you guys are going to have way better ideas than that.
Hey!
So if you want to send in your ideas about the ultimate bad guy that you could create, send them into the JRev letterbox.
Oh, the letterbox! Oh, that's one of my favourite things.
Yeah, so if you want to send in some ideas about maybe you've drawn an ultimate bad guy, maybe you're writing a story about good versus evil, maybe it's just you've been doing cool stuff and you want to show us, just check with a grown-up and send it into this address down here and we'll chuck it on the show.
Awesome.
Alright, today, JRev, we're going to be making a find a word, so you're going to need some paper, a ruler, and something to draw with. First up, you're going to want to draw a square that you're going to put all of your words in, so I'm going to use this ruler just to draw it in this half of the page. I'm going to leave space on the right-hand side so I can write all my words. Now, notice that I'm drawing some little dashes on my lines, and that's just so I can rule out a grid kind of evenly, and that helps me to locate where the letters should be. So I'm going to do the same on the bottom there as well. So I'll just do little dashes along the line, and you can make your find a word as big or as small as you want, but you need to make sure that you have enough room to fit not only all of the words that you're going to hide in there, but also all the letters that are going to kind of act as the filler to hide those words. So make sure you have big enough grid to fit all of the letters, and also make sure that your grid has enough space to fit the longest word as well. So I'm going to finish up this grid. Now I'm going to do red and blue. I'm going to do goodies here and baddies here. I'm going to kind of just list off some classic goodies and baddies, and kind of, you know, who's a good rival in movies or TV. So in goodies, I'm going to put Batman, because he's pretty cool. And then I'm going to do SpongeBob, just because, you know, he's pretty good. I like him. And I think I'm going to do Mufasa, because he's really cool. Now, I need to do the baddies. So the baddie for Batman would be the Joker. Yep, so I'm going to put the Joker there. SpongeBob, I'd say he is kind of rivals with his neighbour Squidward. And Mufasa, obviously Scar, his brother. Now I'm going to use a different texture, and you'll notice in Finder Words you can go diagonals or you can go crossways, and you can even go backwards as well. So I'm going to start adding in my letters. I'm going to write Batman just here, and then I'm going to do, I think I'll do SpongeBob down here, because he's kind of a longer word, so I need to make sure I have space. Now I can do Mufasa coming off of the M of Batman, and I'm going to do a diagonal, and I'm going to do Scar coming off of the A on Mufasa. I'm going to do Joker backwards and up. And I'm just going to start filling the letters. Hang on, I think I might have forgotten. Yeah, I reckon I've forgotten to add one. Of course, I've got to do Squidward. And he's a long one too, so I'm going to just make sure that he can fit in there. Perfect. Now I'm just going to fill in the rest of the gaps in this grid with different letters. And it doesn't matter what you put here, but it does help if you maybe go through the alphabet. So you could kind of do a whole bunch of A's scattered around, and then follow it up with a bunch of B's scattered around, then C's, then D's, and so on and so forth. So just kind of go around and randomly fill in different letters, and it helps if you jump around so that you don't put any kind of double letters. I mean, you can have double letters, but it might look a bit weird if you do like a double Z or pizza, I suppose, like a double Q. That's not going to work. So now all you need to do is hand this off to someone, and they're going to have to look for these words. So I'm going to pretend to be someone else, and I found Batman, so I'm going to circle Batman. And once I've finished that word, I'm going to cross it off so I know that I have already found it. Oh, I found Squidward. Excellent. I'm going to cross that off, and there you go. So maybe you could use some time and make one for your friends or family members. Have some fun.
Have you ever had to take a really tough test at school? If you're in grade 3, 5, 7 or 9, or you've ever been in grade 3, 5, 7 or 9, you guys know all about NAPLAN. Ugh. So many tests. So boring. P.S. How come grown-ups don't have to do NAPLAN? I think that that's unfair to kids, just saying. Can I tell you, Jesus didn't do NAPLAN. That didn't exist when he was here on the planet. But when he was here on planet Earth, there were some dudes called Pharisees who were religious people who would test Jesus all the time. He knew what it felt like to have to do tough tests. These Pharisees, these religious dudes, were always looking for opportunities to try and trick Jesus or trip him up, to kind of get him to prove that maybe he wasn't who he said he was after all. And these Pharisees followed Jesus around everywhere. Like, Jesus travelled a lot, and these guys would follow him just to see if they could trick him. Rude. So one day Jesus was travelling, and he heard that a local centurion had a servant who was really, really sick. Like, really, 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 really sick. Centurions were kind of like guards, and they worked for the Roman government. And can I tell you, Jesus people, the Jewish people, and the Romans, they were not friends. In fact, the Jewish people were kind of under the rule of the Romans, and the Romans weren't always very fair to the Jewish people. But you see, this centurion had heard about Jesus, and he'd heard about the amazing things that Jesus could do. And so when he sent the message about his servant, he said, if Jesus could just say the word, I know that my servant would get better. Basically, this centurion was saying, I don't even need Jesus to turn up physically. I know how powerful he is. I understand how authority works because I'm like a soldier, and I have people that are underneath me that have to do what I say. I believe that Jesus has power and authority, and I believe that he can make my servant well. What? And Jesus was amazed at this centurion's faith. And everyone else watching this story unfold was like, dude, I don't even get it. Like, this guy's a centurion and Jesus is Jewish, and like, this just doesn't even add up. I just don't even get it. Guess what happened? The servant was healed. Jesus passed the test. He proved that he's God's son and he was pretty powerful. We didn't even have to be near the servant, and God's power alive in Jesus made the servant well. That is crazy. But this story also shows us that Jesus was encouraging us to be a good neighbour, because people wouldn't have expected him to help the centurion, let alone the centurion's servant. Because, like I was saying, the Jews and the Romans, they didn't really get along. But that's the amazing thing about God's love. It's so big. Jesus had empathy. He cared for the centurion and he cared for the servant, because ultimately God made them and he loves them. This story reminds me that we can all show empathy to each other. It doesn't matter whether people think that we're enemies, or maybe we even have been enemies before. We still have things in common with each other, no matter what's happened. We still all have people in our life that we care about. We still all want to be safe and happy and well. And we all need help sometimes. It's part of being a good neighbour. It's having empathy, caring about other people, jumping into their shoes and experiencing what their life is like. Because I can promise you, there are probably things that are the same in your life too. So if you don't remember anything else from today, I want you to remember this. Let's follow Jesus' example and let's have empathy for our neighbours. So let's pray and we'll ask for God's help to have empathy. Dear God, we thank you so much for your example of what love looks and sounds like through Jesus. We pray that you would help us to be empathetic, to care about other people, even when people wouldn't expect us to. Amen. Our memory verse is from 1 Peter 3:8. Be like-minded. Be sympathetic. Love each other. Be compassionate and humble. Let's do it one more time. 1 Peter 3:8. Be like-minded. Be sympathetic. Love each other. Be compassionate and humble.
Hey JRev, what time is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm asking them.
Sorry.
What time is it? No, it's not that time. It could be that time, but maybe a little bit later. It's the weekly challenge time, JRev.
Of course it is. What are we doing this week?
Okay, this week we're going to get you to work out, what do you have in common?
With like a monkey or a
Well,
dinosaur?
besides opposable thumbs and a long tail.
Right.
Actually, we've been learning about enemies this week, and we've been learning about how sometimes we don't get along with people.
Yeah, sometimes we don't see eye to eye with people.
Yeah, and that's not because of height differences, because maybe you had a disagreement with them, perhaps. Maybe, you just don't like each other, and that happens, unfortunately, in life. But I want to tell you that you actually have so much in common with your strongest enemy.
That's kind of like in the story I was talking about before. Like, it's not like Jesus and this centurion guy would have been the best of friends prior to that moment in that story.
They were supposed to be enemies.
Yeah, but number one, Jesus doesn't really have enemies. But number two, they did have something in common. They wanted this other person to get well.
Yeah, they cared about them. So they knew that was more important. And like the movie in The Lion King, like Scar and Mufasa and Simba, they all wanted to make sure that they would be leaders, but Scar maybe didn't have the best idea about it. But I'm sure if they worked together, they could have worked out their differences because they all wanted to lead their overall people.
So, for the JRevers at home and for me, have you got any ideas about how this is going to play out in our life for the challenge?
Absolutely. So, if you don't get along with someone, I want you to think about them, and then I want you to think really hard, what's something that we share in common? Now, it might be that you go for the same sports team, or it might be that you like the same flavour of chips, or it might be that you both have the same favourite colour, red or blue, or something like that. And I want you to think about how you can put your differences aside and focus on the things you have in common. Meet halfway.
Yeah, maybe you put your differences side and decide to help somebody else. That could be the thing you have in common.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a million different ways that you can try and patch things up with your enemy, and it's a really good idea because Jesus doesn't want us to have enemies. So I'm going to go and think about the people that maybe I need to have more in common with now.
Right. What do you have in common with other people?
Well, I know that a lot of people have beards, so I'm going to put that on my list. So I'll see you later, JRev. So beards. People have eyes.
Yes.
So that's something that they have
Most
in
people
common.
have eyes.
Most people do. People also, they like sandwiches.